Okay, part two. Now, truth only exists in love and not lust. So that's pretty much self-explanatory. In lust, it doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be honest. You know, someone could be attracted to you, but not really value you, if that makes any sense. Because lust is also insatiable. Now, the problem with people who are driven by lust, there is nothing keeping them grounded to just deal and see value in you. And when a person is dealing with multiple people, it diminishes on itself. You know, like for example, person that needs multiple sex partners will not see value in an individual, and therefore will also be blinded from the consequences of dealing with more people of lesser value. For example, if you look at the STD rate, the accidental pregnancy rates, um, people actually getting robbed, hooking up on dating sites, um, and actually how women are extorting. There are women who use their bodies to extort money from men, and yes, men, you're being played by your ego. You know, a woman can make you feel great about yourself to blind you from seeing her true intentions, just like a woman can be played by a man, you know, feeding her ego, telling her what she wants to hear, and offering what she wants with no intention to value that thing which she actually cherishes most, which is her heart, and using her spiritual blindness and her lack of discernment to actually lead her into a very bad situation. Oftentimes, many women find themselves with the worst type of men being led by what? Money and looks alone. And yes, they matter. But what is the value of being with someone who you're attracted to if you treat it like garbage? What is the value of being with someone who has money if they don't give it to you, or they just use it to extort you into terrible situations or take advantage of your desperation? You know, there is no truth in lust. We all expect that, you know, the things we build in this world, and um, you know, the game that we speak should cause people to give us respect, should cause people to use virtue and values in how they treat us. But none of that is in lust. All of the things that people expect and people want are in love. And anyone who has ever complained about a person, anyone who has ever, you know, been playing the field, trying to get multiple people, multiple sex partners, or, you know, using people or drawing people to them with money, and complained about how they were treated, they have no complaint if lust was just the end goal. They have no complaint. That person that gave you an STD, you can't complain. That person that treated you like garbage and still cheated on you in spite of them telling you that you were all this, and, uh, and in spite of you giving them what you're giving them, you have no complaint. Because if you complain, then you must first live the standard of love. You must reflect the truth. And remember, love is not a weakness. People often say we must love ourselves. Well, loving yourself is holding yourself up to a standard of commandments that actually protect yourself. You cannot love yourself by just thinking of yourself. Um, People destroy themselves trying to love themselves by their own definition. And I'll give you an example. You know, someone who is just seeking random people to have sex with because they need to feel good. Well, that's loving yourself. That also can lead you right into HIV. It could lead you right to being robbed, to being killed. Um, you know, people are trying to take see that to truth. If you want to get biblical, vanity means nothing. Lust is vain because in the end it means nothing. What is the value of wanting someone if only to end up in a situation that is terrible in the end, that makes you actually regret knowing that person? In the end, it proves that all of that you wanted in the beginning amounted to nothing if it caused you to grief that actually devalued the person. So, People have to understand the deceitfulness of vanity, even attractiveness. How attractive is a person who treats you like a dog? How attractive um, is that person? Why do people want other people who don't want you? Why do people want other people whom you have to buy? What is the value of all these things if they don't attribute love according to to you being treated up to a certain standard, the same standard that we all want to be treated by? Um, this we have to be honest with ourselves, and that's the issue. We don't want to be honest about what's in our heart, unsubmitted to our Creator, unsubmitted to His Word. Stop thinking of God as some just immaterial word without any reflection to meaning. God is His written word. Why is the Bible true? Because all the things that are imprinted on the inside of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, is reflected biblically. The treatment, the very expectation and complaints that we all have about one another and the circumstances we are finding ourselves in are reflected in wisdom in the Bible. All of the connotations and all the false metaphors and allegories that people have created to deceive and to use the Bible to bring people into deception, that is the issue of the person who believed the lie. See, here's the issue about believing a lie. A lie only works if you believe it, and it's and not knowing the truth is an issue of discernment. Like, for example, the people who are mad because they were told, well, believing in Jesus in the Bible will lead to a life of prosperity. Well, the issue is they wanted prosperity. They didn't want the truth of God. The truth of God has everything to do with exposing yourself. There's nothing biblical in proper context that just puts value over money without being reconciled and being in good favor with your Creator. Nothing. There are some overflow benefits to knowing your Creator. There's wisdom, there is protection, but it is all conditional to you knowing your Creator and honoring Him the way He demands to be honored. So, I just want to bring that up because it gets so tiring to hear people complaining about all this relationship and the games and manipulation people play, when in lust, that's all you can expect. Love has been cheapened to a word that has been really defined as lust. Everybody that says they're looking for love and they're looking for a context of selfishness, you're lying. You're looking for lust, and you hate the consequences of the lust of the evil that you love. I always say that people love evil, defined biblically, but they don't love the consequences of the evil they love. And that's the same thing with lust. I tell people to use self-control, not because I'm denying your nature, because I'm telling you that your very nature, unsubmitted to God, will lead you to your own destruction. If you don't value wisdom, if you don't see the things that are coming out of your flesh unsubmitted to the word of God as evil, then you will find yourself in situations where, who are you going to blame? You don't believe in God, so your circumstances are your own. So therefore, you just crapped out in life. Too bad. No one cares, because without a God, there's no meaning, and without meaning, your complaints fall on deaf ears and have no value. Just like animals, the animal that got eaten is just the animal that was too weak to run, and it is soon forgotten. So, understand, next time you're driven by somebody you're just vainly attracted to, or you see financial value in, say, I lust that person very much, and see how warm and cozy that makes you feel at night, wrapping yourself in that lie. Yeah, because you lust them very much. And when you say that, the expectation of what you receive from that doesn't feel very comforting, does it? Because when you say you lust someone, then you already intrinsically know you can't expect them to treat you right. You can't expect them to care about anything that has to do with you over what they want. No, that's coming from love. And love is defined by loving God. And God is defined by His commandments and His word. which you have to see valuable, and it should be self-evident by the reflections of your own standard of morality that we all hold ourselves to. Every complaint is evidence of God. Every standard of expectation, whether you're a businessman, whether you want a successful relationship, friendship, anything in life that you hold to a standard, there is no value in having a standard if everything that everyone does is random and unsubmitted to a standard, but it's just their preference. No one person's preference has no more value than the other. You're going to see a common theme in these videos because I'm going to prove without a shadow of a doubt that people have actually confused the definition of words to fit their own corrupt nature. We don't want to admit that we are bad, even though our own decisions are enough evidence to prove that we've led ourselves in our adulthood and most to our own destruction, and mostly into our own issues, trusting ourselves. And it's funny because people can't say they actually trusted God when you were self-driven, when you did the thing. You never given God a chance if you never submitted yourself to his word sincerely. If you're just trying to seek out little pieces of half scripture to support your selfishness, then you are disingenuous and you are false in your belief. Because your intentions are not right going in. You're reading the Bible with a corrupt mind and a corrupt heart. And if you complain about the preachers that do the same thing to tell you lies, then why would you expect a better result from yourself doing the same thing? The Bible, from start to finish, it breaks down human nature. It breaks down how deceived and easily swayed the flesh is, and how the flesh does not look past itself. It cannot see where virtues and values come from. It's almost like people complaining about why black folks can't acquire wealth in a system like this. Well, if you say that the people who have the wealth use corrupt means to acquire it, then what does that mean if you want to acquire it? And if you feel justified to do the same things that your enemies do to acquire the things you want, then how can you complain? They just beat you to it. And if they have a starting head start in a situation, then that means you were slow on the draw. No one told your ancestors to sit around and wait for somebody to take power. Why didn't your ancestors take it? Why didn't they build a military? If everything is right and everything is justified without God, then no one can complain about anyone being in a position of power. Because in the world like this, first come, first served. And that no one loves that. But they can't attribute, they expect love and compassion in a world without love and compassion. Everybody thinks love is wrong, is a bad word because it's weakly defined. A man who acts in love reflects truth. He's not walking around just loving people in wickedness. He's exposing their wickedness. He's living the truth as a standard to be immovable, to stand on his own principles, to not compromise his values for any lust, for any money, to stand on the very fabric of reality into which everyone expects good things to come from. That man is not controlled by a woman. He is not controlled by his own fleshly appetites. He is not accepting the weaknesses that that life proves through its experiences. He's not doing any of these things. It is the weak man that goes around trying to use the tactics of his enemy to expect a better result. It is a weak man that is trying to use tactics to which no moral standard can be attributed from. That is a weak man. If for a man who thinks that a woman is using corruption to her advantage, then you're playing into her game to be led of lust. You know, won't you stand on truth? Won't you demand that that woman comes to you on your program of principles, values, and a biblical standard of treatment that you will not compromise for her? She should get no benefits without adding value to your life if you are a man of value. That comes from a biblical precedent. So I just want to add these things and, just vent a little bit. So I don't think I'm gonna do a part 3, but I just wanted to share this. I'm gonna do some more music coming soon.